Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Today we're talking about Game Week 3 captains, the best options for you. Ben is trying to look as good as possible on camera, sprucing himself up. You can see he's had a shave, he's had a fresh haircut, he's looking 10 out of 10 as always. But just to remind you before we get into the analysis, please do like the video, comment below, see if you agree with us or disagree with us. We love having interaction with you. But most importantly, for your benefit, subscribe to the channel. Why wouldn't you? There's so much great content on here. We've got all mine and Ben's analysis. We've got plenty of experts coming on as guests all the time, like we did through the summer, and we've got some ones planned as well coming up. But also, we've got videos like we do with Dr. Raj, where there's expert insights. But yes, here he is, Mr. Ben himself, looking great, looking good. He's spruced himself up there on camera. How are you doing, Ben? Are you looking forward to Game Week 3?
What a lovely introduction there, Jason. Thank you very much. Am I looking forward to Game Week 3? Well, it can't be any worse than Game Week 2. Let's just put it that way. If it hadn't been for the fact that we have an international break coming up, lots of question marks with regards to availability post Game Week 3 heading into Game Week 4, then I dare say I might have been tempted to pull the trigger on the wild card.
Oh, all the
what
time.
Can I say? I've got itchy fingers. Do you know what? I went with more of what I would consider more of a template model this season. I mean, it's still classed as fairly differential in the grand scheme of things, but I'm bored already. Do you know what? It doesn't hold any appeal to me. I get a good score in Game Week 1, and my overall rank is 2.2 million. Well, what is the point of that? Do you know what? I'd rather get a crap score and then, hit a big score somewhere down the line and get top 1K.
Yeah.
Top 10K score and just have like minor little wins like that.
Do it your own way as well.
Just doesn't. I mean, I am, and everybody, the Bruno, I've got Bruno, I've got Salah, everybody's on, and you think, I'm in for a cracking week. And then you realize everybody else is the same. The only difference between the teams maybe was Salah and Bruno over the games week 1 and 2 and who you would captain. This week, though, as I'm sure we're going to discuss, it's a lot more open. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more divergence, as you put it, Mr. McKenna, within the community about who to put the armband on. And I think we make a strong case for 3, 4, possibly even 5 captains ahead of Game Week 3.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing going into last game week, and probably, well, we know for certain for Game Week 1 as well, was there was so many fixtures that you were dead certs, like Man United Game Week 1, against Leeds, people were dead cert on that, or Liverpool against Norwich. Last game week, Liverpool against Burnley, and seemingly Manchester United against Southampton, both really good games. Whereas this week, there's a few tough ties in there, and, Man United, Liverpool are not playing really good fixtures there, so the likes of Bruno and Salah, probably Bruno a little bit more, but Salah definitely not in consideration for captaincy. It's a really rare occasion where he's not. So I think this could be almost a differential dinnery time when you select somebody that I don't think a lot of the community will do, because I think it is going to be split between quite a few people. But I guess we should start off the discussions then. And you know what? On another video, I would be interested to know your differential percentage, because mine is 78%. Mine is moderately template. I don't know if you can get it up during the video whilst I talk about who I think is probably one of the differential choices for this game week, but I quite like him. I like Jack Grealish. I think Pep has kind of shown his hand a little bit already this season, talking about there's going to be a meritocracy at Manchester City. If you play well, you keep your place. If you play badly, you don't. I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that Pep thinks that about Grealish, but, historically, he's kind of talked about how so-and-so's played really well, John Stones or somebody like that, and then the week after he's taken them out of the team. So it's not easy with the Pep roulette, but I'm trying to logic the way out of this one, maybe avoiding a Mahrez situation again. Pep has bought Grealish. He is the club record signing. He is saying that there's a meritocracy. Grealish scored last game week. He's really praised how all the team were right in their position. So he never said anybody played badly. So I'm hoping he is a safe pick for game week 3. So kind of prefacing any sort of discussions with Grealish there with the Pep roulette warnings, he might not be as safe. But I think he's one of the safer picks. But the reason why I've picked him out is he's playing my team, Arsenal, as you can see in the background. But it is at the Etihad, which is a real kind of temple of pain for Arsenal over the last few seasons. We've been really poor there. We haven't actually won against them since 2015. And the last time Arsenal actually scored against Manchester City, so not even a win, an actual goal, was in 2019. So I think there's big problems at Arsenal in kind of comparison to the 2019-2015 teams where they actually scored goals or got points against Manchester City. And there is real problems. Man City look quite good. They obviously had that blip against Spurs, but they're an incredible unit, whereas Arsenal don't look like they're managed that well. A lot of defensive fragilities, a lot of over-reliance on certain players. You know, even though Tierney is probably our best defender, we're also totally reliant on him creating chances. And Chelsea did an exceptional job of just kind of blocking out the game. So Arsenal weren't able to create. They kind of removed him defensively and offensively. And Manchester City will do the same. So I'm thinking Grealish can profiteer from that situation. He'll be creating chances. He might be getting shots. He's kind of playing that Gundogan role where he's allowed to run into the box as well this season. And he's all over the pitch. And he's creating chances even through getting fouls. You know, he's drawing those. Maybe a Laporte, maybe a Diaz can get their head on that as well from a set-piece situation. I don't know. But yeah, I think Grealish is a fair shout for this game week. And if I had him in my team, I'd probably slap the captaincy on him, even if it is against my beloved Arsenal. But what are your thoughts on Grealish? Do you think that the Pep roulette is just a little bit too dangerous, Ben?
I mean, it's a tough call. It always is with Pep. There's one or two reasons why I'm maybe not as convinced as yourself. First and foremost, it's the early kickoff on a Saturday. 12:30.
Oh God,
you know,
yeah.
you know, and if City don't bang and Jack Grealish doesn't return, then it sort of spoils the rest of your weekend. And for it to happen in the first game, then I'm not really one. I try to avoid that first game if at all possible. And when I'm looking at captains, so that would be one concern. The second is, yes, we know Pep. He tends to say one thing and do another. We would have to assume that if Grealish is going to start, then maybe it is at the cost of maybe Raheem Sterling, who ordinarily, Jack started on the left last week against Norwich. If Sterling started, does he move centrally? And that could create a space if Ferran Torres comes out. I expect Gabriel Jesus to be in there. I expect Gundogan. So again, opportunities and places within that attacking third for City. Competition is fierce. That is my second reservation. The third, and it may have some bearing on it, or it may have none at all. But we've seen a few returners for Arsenal midweek at the time of recording. We've just had the Carabao Cup tie against West Bromwich Albion. And yes, it is against second-tier opposition. West Brom aren't great with a much-changed lineup, but regardless of that performance, those 6 goals will breed confidence. Aubameyang picked up a hat-trick. We've seen a return of Lacazette to the squad. Odegaard got his first start since signing on a permanent deal. So that will give the club a little bit of a lift. And it sort of sets them on the right track. And you would think, if you're going to use anything as a springboard to kick on, then use that against the champions. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal are going to go there and get 3 points, but they hopefully and they should put up a better fight than they have done in their opening 2 fixtures of this season.
I think the early kickoff shout as well, listen to Gandhi, listen to Einstein, but they both say never back the early kickoff. But there's a load of fair points there as well, jokes aside. And I think Man City will beat Arsenal, but it could be a better performance. They could be stirred a little bit. And like you said, there's quite a few returners there. I was really happy to see that Aubameyang was back to basically his old self in this game. Obviously not against the best kind of opposition, but it's the boost that the team definitely need. But let's move on then to your next captaincy pick, or do you quickly have your differential rating on your team?
I do have my differential rating, and I'm absolutely disgusted. I'm disgusted with myself. I've let myself down. I can only apologise, and I will try to never ever let this happen again. A template rating of drumroll 49%.
Jeez.
Which, I mean, it's still classed as a very differential according to
but it's not differential
FPL.
enough.
But I mean, I'm used to sort of 10, 12, 15%. I even went down, I think, to 7% at one point last season.
I do remember that.
I'm looking at that team, and yeah, I've got 2 free transfers. So I'll be using those without question. And like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if over the international break, I'm having some positive vibes. Players are either rested or I know they're going to be fit and available heading into 4. And I could possibly just rip the heart out of that team and take it right back down to maybe not a single figure, because I do like Trent. I think Trent's a keeper. I think I'll go for Lukaku because I do really like him, and I do like Salah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go, there is a thinking that I may even go shoehorn in 4 premiums. So the Salah, Bruno, Trent, and a Lukaku.
Oh my God.
And then just patch it up with whatever fodder is left and available in that, in that 4 to 5 million market, and see how that goes, just for something completely different, and even shoehorn in a Harry Kane and just go 5 big premium, and then the rest just absolute dross. Starters, but dross. I mean, you can pick up, a couple of. You've got Livramento, Southampton, in and around 4. You've got Duffy. I think he's a slight rise to 4.1. You've got Gilmore, who will come in at, I think it was 4.5. So there are players who are playing, but obviously you've got the heavy reliance that you're going to need those 5 players to really, bang more often than not to carry a team forward. But look, it's only a game, and you never know until you try these strategies.
It's true. But the strategy for this week, captaincy, who is going to be one of your choices for this game week then?
I think it's really hard to overlook Mikel Antonio. We've seen on Monday night a striker in great form, and a team that have hit the ground running, continued their form from last season under David Moyes. There's been no question about the quality of Antonio since he moved into that attacking, striking role. He's been absolutely fantastic. The underlying caveat has always been, can he stay fit? But let's look at the here and now. There are no additional fixtures to consider. West Ham are playing game week to game week, week on week. There's enough recovery time, and he's banging form. I think he's got the highest XG, the most XGI of any player in the top flight, and second highest shots in the box. And those numbers are basically mirrored by West Ham as well. 8 goals in their first 2 games, destroyed Leicester eventually. So that was a fantastic, and sitting pretty at the top of the Premier League. So it's hard not to get excited about Antonio, certainly at his price point. And we may see the arrival of Jess Lingard as well. Although, with the supporting role that Pablo Fornals, Saidu Ben Rama, and Bona all playing, West Ham are ticking. Again, they're full of confidence. In a striker, Antonio's full of confidence. We've spoke about this before. He's took that number 9 shirt on now, and he's aiming for 20 goals this season. He sees himself as a striker. He's now the all-time Premier League top scorer for West Ham, and he'll want to take that for every goal he gets. He's extending that record, and I'm sure he'll do it with aplomb this season.
Yeah, and this is the thing, Lingard arriving kind of threatens the darling at the moment, Ben Rama, but it kind of almost enhances the Antonio situation because when Lingard was in the side, he sometimes played in that 10 role, but sometimes he replaced Antonio as a striker. So that kind of gives the opportunity for Antonio to be subbed off and this and that. But for this specific game week as well, looking at Crystal Palace, they haven't really done anything to impress so far, have they? They've not really created any chances. They've had a lot of trouble actually kind of getting the ball from their defensive back line up to the likes of Zaha, Benteke. They've been starved of chances, basically, and it's not been good to watch. Whereas, as you said, they're West Ham, just in incredible form. The only thing is, obviously, he's not a premium, and I think a lot of people, that puts them off. Instinctively, that puts me off. But at the moment, he is my captain. I think he's 4th or 5th for projected points as well this game week. So I don't hate that choice at all. I think I really like it. I'm going to move the discussion point on to Bruno Fernandez, though, because I think this is an interesting pick kind of going into this game week. I'm not sure how well Manchester United will do because Wolves have had some good underlying numbers against some pretty good teams. They played Leicester, they played Tottenham. They have lost 2 games, but they've only conceded 2 goals. So it's not like they've been demolished. And then you look at the XG data, they've been seriously unlucky. Defensively, I've almost been a little bit shocked going into this season. I was a little bit critical. I was thinking Bruno Lage has kind of concentrated on playing really nice attacking football, and the Wolves collectors have enjoyed that more impressive attacking football, but it hasn't actually been to the detriment of their defence yet, which was one of the poor problems last season. So I don't know if Man United are going to play Wolves off the park. They had problems with chance creation against Southampton. Arguably, Wolves are a team with better players, and this is going to be at Molineux as well. So there's going to be the home crowd kind of cheering on Wolves. But the problem, obviously, is that Man United, home or away, they seem to be really good, and they're on that fantastic unbeaten run. So looking at some of the data, Wolves had a 20% chance of keeping a clean sheet this weekend, kind of summarising bookmakers. So you would back Bruno Fernandez to score. And on their day, Manchester United are rampant in attack, like they showed against Leeds. They've got a lot of their players, in really good condition. Pogba, Greenwood, Bruno, and then Sancho might make an appearance as well. And he's the type of player who could kind of open up the opportunities to create chances himself. I mean, we haven't seen Sancho unlocked yet because he's been starting on the bench. He's kind of being integrated into the side. But if he starts or if he plays for an extended amount of time, you know that he'll be unlocking that Wolves defence. So Bruno is not a bad shout. My feeling is there's a ceiling on him, whereas with the likes of Antonio, maybe Grealish a little bit as well, they can score a lot more because I think Wolves, if they go 1 or 2 behind, they're not going to kind of almost do a Norwich and just continue in vain in that, in insanity, basically. Wolves are going to be a lot tighter. So, I don't know. Do you have reservations on Bruno, though?
I did, I suppose, after game week 1, we all expected United to go down to St. Mary's, and we were talking 3s, 4s, and 5s. And that just didn't happen. The Saints, to their credit, pressed really well. They contained United, and they made a good fist of things. United should have Cavani back. And you mentioned Sancho. I've actually just done the predicted lineup for that United team, and I've got Sancho coming in to that starting 11 with Ollie dropping Anthony Martial and sticking Greenwood as a central striker, along in having Pogba, Bruno, and Sancho in there. So that that is a really tempting and tasty attacking sort of quartet going forward there. With so many attacking options, I mean, I'm not saying it's a concern or a worry, but goals and assists can come from anywhere in that United team. Yes, Bruno is the focal point, and yes, he likes to get involved, but you can quite easily see United, scoring heavily and Bruno not getting anything as well, because they have, that depth and that strength within the squad. And it's a big chunk of change to be laying out there on Bruno. But look, I do share your confidence, your rationale. I don't think Wolves are as bad as maybe people are thinking in terms of how they've started. Yes, it hasn't been great, but like I say, the underlying data is there. It just remains to be seen as, whether they've just been very unlucky or whether we have another Brighton on our hands and they just don't really have the quality to match those numbers. In time will tell, but I'm with you. I think this could be a tight game, and we've went from one extreme to the other. We went from the early kickoff to the last game on the Sunday. So, if you can bag your points before that final fixture and you go into that one and you've still got your captain in hand, then that's a great position to be in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, timing isn't too much apart from that early kickoff. I'm a little bit superstitious just because I feel like every time I've captained in that game, I've been burnt. But other times, I'm not too worried. If it's a 3 o'clock, if it's a 5 o'clock, it doesn't worry me too much. And I'll just be interested. I think it'll be almost a test for Wolves to see how good they are. And it'll be an interesting one to see if Man United are improved as well. In terms of my fan team monster, I'm kind of backing Wolves to actually get a goal. I think somebody like Traore or Jimenez might score against Manchester United because they've had a mistake in them so far this season. And I think that, De Gea playing between the sticks is not as good as Henderson. But yeah, Ben, we've talked about Bruno. Who else is on the selection of this game week for captaincy?
Yeah, I'm having a look at Heung-min Son. I mean, ordinary Harry Kane would be the big draw at Tottenham, but we know that there are no guarantees at this moment whether Harry Kane would start. Thursday night's Europa Conference game might give us some kind of inclination towards that. If he starts, then I've got a feeling that he may be benched on Sunday. If he's benched and he gets a good run out, then that might tee him up nicely for Sunday. But as it stands, I've currently just went for more or less an unchanged Tottenham team with Heung-min Son starting. Now, there were concerns with regards to a little bit of taping on his left hamstring, and also he appeared to be walking a little bit gingerly during the game at Molineux. Now, as it stands, those concerns, those fears have been played down, and he has been pictured on the training pitches. So in that respect, it looks good. But we all know that, you have to treat hamstring injuries with kid gloves, because he can train and have a reaction overnight, which could rule him out of the game. So it's maybe slightly risky in that respect. But in terms of everything else, it's hard not to like Son. He wasn't great last time out, and inherently Tottenham haven't been very good either overall. Again, we talked about how Wolves have underperformed their data and maybe it's not as bad. Well, Tottenham have probably overperformed theirs in black and white, and on the face of it, you think Spurs have had a great start to the season, but maybe they've been a little bit lucky. They caught Man City at a good time when they were missing a lot of players. And against Wolves, it was very workmanlike. There was nothing real flash. They got the result. They got the win. They grounded out. Job done, another 3 points and another clean sheets. But what we've seen in recent seasons is, Son can transcend, and Harry Kane can transcend fixtures. They can transcend forms. They can carry their team, individually. He's a player that can, takes high risk, high difficult shots, but often comes away with those goals. And I do like Heung-min Son. I think it's like I say, when and the boost of maybe Harry Kane, coming out publicly, and I suppose what do we say? He's certainly not going to Manchester City anytime soon. Let's just put it that way. So, that will give some a lift, supporters a lift. It would be buzzing. And Watford, let's not forget, Watford do most of their good work at Vicarage Road. They did in the Championship. And this season, it's a trend that looks to be considered. I think 70% of their wins last season came at home. They were terrible on the opening day at Brighton. They've bounced back, and they won at home. Now they're playing at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and I expect 3 points for the home side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, again, this is almost like the Wolves situation. I want to see if Tottenham are improved. If people haven't listened to my Game Week 2 reaction, I coated off Tottenham a little bit. We'll see if I'm proved right or proved wrong. But like with any of these discussions, it's only 2 game weeks worth of data. I was just pointing out that so far I haven't been impressed, and I don't see that improvement. But to the same aspect, Son, it doesn't matter who he plays. Kane, it doesn't matter who he plays. These guys are world class. These are not just some of the best players in Tottenham, Premier League. These are some of the best players in Europe, in fact, the whole world. And Son is absolutely incredible. He consistently overperforms, so you don't really need to worry about that. And in terms of it, yeah, Watford, it's a good opportunity. I think, would you say that Harry Kane is going to start against Watford, or?
My predicted 11 doesn't have Harry Kane in the starting 11. As it currently stands, like I say, that may change after the Europa Conference tie, may give us some insight, but I'll go back to the fact that I think Nuno will stick with the same 11, certainly the same attacking 3. I think they deserve it. They've had the results. They've been playing well. And it's not a Jose Mourinho or other managers that would just, the second that Harry Kane is anywhere near fit, they throw him in the team. Nuno has held him back, quite rightly so, and they've almost proved that they can win. They won against the champions, albeit on the opening weekend when City weren't at full strength, but Tottenham have shown that they can go out there and still get a result. So for me, and for that reason, I just think Nuno will hold back, and he may get, like I say, a start in the Europa and maybe a 20 to 30 minute run out on Sunday, depending on how that game is going.
Yeah, I think as well, it'll be interesting to see the style of play that Nuno kind of deploys with Tottenham against the lower side team, because looking at his time at Wolves, Nuno was really good at kind of catching out big teams, the likes of Manchester City, the types of games that they've already played, Spurs. And so he's kind of proven that he can take on big 6 sides, get a result because of playing deep, playing that narrow kind of front 3, pressing and those abilities. And maybe the proof here is almost Nuno against a smaller team with a bigger team. In other games, kind of historically, Wolves weren't a big side. They were possibly mid-table. The last couple of seasons, they've been lower part of the table. It'll be interesting to see, because Brighton completely played Watford off the pitch. They controlled the ball. They passed it around nicely. Spurs aren't going to play like that. So what are Spurs going to do if they have a lot of the ball? Are they going to pass it around? I don't know. So again, it will be interesting to see the game plan of Nuno. Is he going to be pragmatic? Is he going to change himself? Or is he going to stick to those kind of Wolves principles that worked well? The final one for this game week, and maybe people are thinking, why haven't we mentioned him earlier? It's Jamie Vardy against Norwich. The thing for me, and this is why it's such a weird game week, is I don't fancy a lot of these options, incredibly. It's not an obvious pick for me. Like I said, my one is on Mikel Antonio. I like Jack Grealish. Son I don't have in my team, neither do I have Grealish. but I have Bruno, and I'm still not keen on him. These are quite a few different options that aren't really 100% clear. Jamie Vardy's another one of them. On paper, you'd think Leicester versus Norwich, they're going to dominate them. They're going to absolutely destroy them. But then you look at how Leicester have played so far this season, and also at the end of last season. They haven't been really good at chance creating. They've looked a bit poor, and Leicester have a lot of problems at the back as well. But kind of knowing the type of player that Jamie Vardy is, knowing how good he is, he probably will cause problems to Norwich. They just haven't been very good. Very questionable tactics from Farke. He was kind of saying post-game, well, we were conceding the same goal over and over. Well, who's the manager? Who's making the decisions to keep playing that style that's allowing it to happen? He did make a tactical change at half-time, changing the left back and kind of hoping for a bit of a different outcome, but, the same thing happened again. So I don't know if that's something that maybe Leicester will look into as well. But Vardy himself, somebody that transcends fixtures, he's good no matter who he plays against. Leicester have a 55% chance of winning. Norwich have an 18% chance of keeping a clean sheet. And more often than not, when you see Leicester having scored a goal, it's Vardy goal or Vardy assist at the moment. And you kind of expect that to continue, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, look, I think it's a good opportunity. Also, I think maybe the result against West Ham is a bit of a kick up the backside that Leicester need. I do expect Brendan Rodgers to change things up a little bit. Predominantly what we've seen is a 4-2-3-1 deployed. But I'm looking at this fixture and I think he will fancy goals. I expect Leicester to be a little bit more attacking. Castagna could come in to create a back three with Ndidi sitting as a shield. It will be a 3-1-4-2 for the first time. We've seen with Kelechi partnering Vardy. We've seen his form last season. And I think that could cause, that Norwich team a lot of problems. The only, if I'm looking and if I'm trying to nitpick here and find some, to take the gloss off it, off the maybe this Leicester route would be the fact that Norwich came away with a decent result in the League Cup there midweek. Decent side in AFC Bournemouth. Scott Parker hoping to do some big things down the south coast. So comfortable 6-0 victory. What we've seen a couple of good performances. Sargent being one of those. How many of those players could actually force their way in to that Norwich lineup? They were unchanged in game week 2. Surprisingly, and they got another trouncing off Manchester City. But one player who could come in, and you mentioned the left back, Premier League experience, came in on loan, Brandon Williams. He doesn't come in with a lot of experience and a lot of games under his belt, but with a pedigree of Manchester United, and he has been linked elsewhere. There is a little bit of quality in there as well, and so the boost of having him and possibly of one or two changes within that team may just be a little bit of a lift against a Leicester team whose confidence will be a little bit fragile at the moment.
I'll be interested to see if Tzola starts as well after his double, and I think he got an assist as well. It could be a new look Norwich side, which may again spring, sort of a surprise for Leicester. But that is the summary of our thoughts and feelings on the big captaincy choices for this game week. If we've missed anybody out, please comment below and get involved. You can ask us questions. You can tweet us as well, and we'll try and give you some data or insights into that. But the final question that we have to do is, Ben, who is going to be your captain for this game week?
I'm looking at transfers at this moment in time. I am drawn towards Antonio. He's the big one that I really like the look of, fixture wise, team wise, and also opposition. But I do own Jamie Vardy as well. And the fact that I do expect Brendan Rodgers to go 2 up front, that might just swing it. If Rodgers was to stick with a 4-2-3-1, Vardy looks a little bit isolated. And you can have the likes of Grant Henley, and 2 and 3 players even picking up in and around Vardy. That's difficult. But, Maddison against his former club as well, let's not forget. He'll want to show what he can do. He's had in different performances, up to this point. So, that could be a big one from Leicester as well. Kelechi taking a little bit of the heat, a little bit of the burden of Vardy. So, yeah, they're the two that I'm really sort of considering at the moment.
Very interesting, and I guess you'll keep people kind of up to date with your Twitter feed as well. My captaincy is on Antonio at the moment. I think that he just looks so good. He's in form, and I've brought in Ben Rama as well as my kind of transfer this game week. Might do a few others as well. I'll try and keep people up to date as well, but. I'm loving Antonio. I'm loving his vibes. West Ham are playing with great tactics and vibes. So, what's not to love about that? And I think you kind of hit it at the start, but I'm playing my way there, and I'm not really kind of overthinking it. I love Antonio, and I'll be watching and enjoying his performance. But for now, I hope you enjoyed our performance. I hope we've helped you, given you some great insights, and do get involved. Please give us feedback, and if you have any questions, comment down below. We'll have another video this game week just talking through some of the best assets as well. So make sure you're subscribed and keep in touch with us. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye and hand over to Ben to sign us out.
Yeah, cheers, Jason. Another fantastic podcast. Some great captaincy decisions and choices to make there. So once again, appreciate the hard work that you do behind the scenes and helping create all these fantastic shows, Jason McKenna. Make sure you check him out, Jason_R_McKenna. There you go. So that's me, Ben Dinnery. We're out for the night, but we will be back ahead of deadline. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. And if you're not subscribing, why not? Get it done. Speak to you soon. Ciao for now.